my reliable and patient Taurus friend. Hello and welcome. My name is Mina, and I'm here to offer you a 3-card reading exploring the themes of you, your path, and your potential. I invite you to consider what the reading reveals about possible challenges, opportunities, and personal growth for the week ahead. Take a deep breath, rest your mind, and let's see what the cards have to share with you today. There's a heaviness in the air for you, Taurus, even if you haven't named it out loud. It rests in the body, settling into your shoulders when you're alone. It's not dramatic, not the kind of weight that shouts for attention, but it's here all the same, a quiet ache, a sense of having come a long way with something unspoken still lingering. Maybe you notice yourself hesitating before answering certain questions, or feeling a little tired even after a decent night's sleep. There's a longing for calm, for a little more simplicity, for the noise to thin out just enough that you can hear yourself think without interruption. You might find yourself tracing the edges of old disappointments, wondering if the things you let go of are truly gone or only hidden beneath the surface. There's the sense that something is shifting, even if you can't yet say what. You know the feeling of wanting to move on, but not quite being sure what you're moving toward. It's as if a chapter is ending, but the new one hasn't announced itself. This week, the tension sits in the in-between. You're holding space for both the ending and the unknown beginning. There's a quiet resolve about you now, a kind of gentle distancing that doesn't look like withdrawal, but feels like a soft goodbye to what's been weighing you down. The 6 of Swords finds its way into your week not as a loud declaration, but as a subtle current, nudging you away from old shores. You might notice it in the way your thoughts drift toward new places, or how certain conversations feel finished even before you reach the last word. It's less about running away and more about honoring the need for something different. Maybe you've been carrying a story that's grown too heavy, or maybe you're simply ready to trade certainty for a little more peace. There's a relief in letting yourself drift for a moment, even if you don't know the destination. You sense that staying where you are isn't an option anymore, and that realization brings both sadness and relief. You're not chasing after excitement or drama. You're seeking calm, craving clarity, even if it means passing through a stretch of uncertainty. As you make space for this shift, old fears may flare up, questions about what you're leaving behind, about whether you deserve to move on. But beneath it all, the urge to lighten your load grows stronger. This isn't the moment for grand gestures or sweeping solutions. It's about the small daily choices that help you create distance from what's been draining you. There's an inner wisdom guiding you, gently insisting that you don't have to carry everything forever. Even if you can't see the other side yet, you know that letting go is the only way to find out what's possible. This is the week where you quietly decide you're ready to cross the bridge, even if the far side is covered in mist. It's from this place of quiet readiness that your path begins to shift, Taurus. The feeling of needing to move on creates a space where events begin to gather their own momentum. You notice how certain situations seem to reach a natural conclusion, or how people around you respond to your subtle withdrawal. The distance you create, emotionally or physically, starts to reshape the landscape ahead of you. It may not always feel comfortable, but it is honest. The pressure to hold up what's crumbling begins to ease, and as it does, new questions start to emerge. Where does all this letting go lead? What happens when you finally put down what you've been carrying? The inner decision to step away doesn't end things instantly, but it does invite the world to meet you differently. It's as though the energy you used to spend holding everything together is now being freed up, ready for something else. And in the space left behind, you begin to sense the first hints of what might come next. As your week unfolds, the tension between endings and beginnings becomes sharper, almost unavoidable. The Ten of Swords moves through your path, not as a punishment but as a culmination. There's a sense of finality in the air, the feeling that something long overdue has reached its natural end point. This might show up as a difficult conversation that finally happens, a truth that can't be ignored any longer, or a decision that's been circling you for weeks. The pressure is real, sometimes overwhelming, and it doesn't always wait for you to feel ready. There's a heaviness here, a recognition that some things simply can't be fixed by holding on tighter. The momentum of change feels almost mechanical, as if the story is riding itself, closing down old loops whether you like it or not. You might find yourself resisting at first, wishing there was another way, but deep down you sense the relief that comes with an ending finally arriving. This can be an uncomfortable crossroads, the moment where you stop trying to make something work and instead let it be what it is. The friction comes from wanting to preserve what's familiar, but also knowing that clinging now only prolongs the discomfort. When the old ways break apart, it can sting. You may feel exposed, emptied out, even uncertain about what's left. Yet, there's a strange clarity in reaching the end of a chapter. The exhaustion that's been building finally has somewhere to go. The path may feel harsh in the moment, but it's clearing space. The energy that was caught in cycles of worry or regret can now start to move again. It's not about having answers right away, it's about allowing the ending to be real. Only then does the possibility for something new begin to emerge, fragile but honest. There is a moment, Taurus, when you realize that what's possible for you isn't handed over automatically. The potential ahead doesn't reveal itself just because an ending has come. It waits for your willingness to meet the discomfort with gentleness, to notice the space that's been cleared and to breathe into it. This is where your conscious engagement matters most. If you turn away from the discomfort too quickly, you might miss the quiet invitation that comes in its wake. But if you stay present, if you let yourself occupy the emptiness for a while, the next part of your story starts to take shape, not as a demand but as a gentle unfolding. The future grows out of your willingness to be honest with yourself in this quiet, unguarded space. When you allow yourself to sit with all that's changed, the Nine of Cups appears, not as a promise of instant satisfaction, but as an opening. There's a softening here, a sense that emotional fulfillment is possible precisely because you've honored what needed to end. It's not about chasing happiness or forcing a sense of closure. Instead, it's about recognizing the quiet pleasures that surface when you stop carrying unnecessary burdens. You notice small comforts, moments of gratitude, gentle reminders that you can feel whole even after a loss. This week, you may find that satisfaction sneaks up on you, a sense of contentment settling in where anxiety once lived. It's the simple joy of realizing that you are enough as you are, without having to prove anything or fix everything. Growth in this moment is an invitation to trust your own feelings, to let yourself rest in the space you've created. Instead of reaching for the next goal or worrying about what comes after, you find value in being present. There's a richness in this pause, a fullness that doesn't depend on outside validation. You may not have all the answers, but you can feel the difference between emptiness and openness. This is the ground where new dreams can take root, where your own approval becomes the only measure that matters. In this space, you're free to choose what brings you peace, what feels nourishing. The invitation is simply to notice how possible it is to feel satisfied now, not because everything is perfect, but because you've allowed yourself to be real. All three moments, the gentle distancing, the final ending, and the quiet contentment, flow together in your story this week, Taurus. You begin in a place of subtle unrest, holding on to what's familiar because it's safe, even as you sense it's time to move on. The Six of Swords guides you into transition, asking you to trust the impulse to seek calmer waters. The Ten of Swords meets you on the path, showing you that sometimes the only way forward is through an ending you can't avoid. As you let go, the pressure releases. The story changes shape. And then, as you consciously choose to honor both the loss and the new emptiness, the Nine of Cups welcomes you into a more spacious emotional landscape. Satisfaction arises not from getting what you want, but from allowing yourself to need less. It's a return to yourself, a gentle acceptance that you are enough, even in the aftermath of change. This week, the journey is not about dramatic transformation, but about the quiet courage required to let go and to trust the space that follows. You're not alone in this. Even if the process feels solitary, the world meets you with small, unexpected gifts. In the end, you discover that endings are not failures. They are invitations to begin again, with more honesty and less weight. And in that space, peace finds you. Actionable insights for Taurus this week. If you notice tension, you could try letting your body relax for a moment before responding. You might choose to do one small thing differently just to see how it feels. It can be enough to name to yourself what you're ready to leave behind. Spoken word affirmations to repeat aloud for a more positive mindset. I let myself breathe before I answer. I am allowed to rest when I am tired. What I release makes space for something better. I am ready to be satisfied with who I am. And now, dear friend, I thank you for giving me your time. I truly hope I have given you something helpful in return. Goodbye and good luck until next time.